Good evening. Good evening. I want to speak truthfully and faithful before my Creator, God, and Jesus Christ, who is actually Yeshua in Hebrew. What I want to speak is simply a clarification of the open letter to Nevas Mumba, of which I agreed with a brother who actually authored it, because I even inboxed Dr. Nevas Mumba to say, one day, if you don't do what I talked to you face to face, urging you to say, if you are taking politics, take it in a manner of calling for a United States of Africa as Julius Malema. It was just a few months before Ibrahim Traoré was actually known of his stance of uniting Africa as one. I'm saying whatever issues are raised in the letter, I agree with them. And I stand in support of them because I spoke with Nevas Mumba. As you can see that photo, I was with him. So now, what is it that I want to say? I want to appeal to Nevas Mumba and President Hakainde Chilema to denounce Freemason publicly. Then I will withdraw the letter that I've posted, because what is written in that letter, it is a fulfillment of the prophecy that I wrote in this book. And what is happening with UPND, it's a fulfillment of what I wrote. I'm going to read a letter. This letter, I'll actually insert it here. The invitation letter of Ritual Fellowship. This letter reflects the Freemason gathering on the 12th, a day before the elections. In this letter, if what is written in this letter is not true, it is of very urgent for President Hakainde to denounce Freemason and denounce this letter. Then I'll agree with him. But if Hakainde keeps quiet on denouncing Freemason gathering, keeps quiet on denouncing Freemason, is part of it, and this letter remains a true document. If this letter for Ritual Fellowship, Lusaka, Zambia, it talks about Livingstone and the Irving Victoria Falls Resort in Livingstone is the venue where they are going to gather, then without him denouncing the letter, then it's part of it. Here's a letter that I'm going to put on the what? On the screen. Let me read the letter. It has two logos or headings on top as letterheads. Supreme Grand Master Chapter of Royal Archmasons of England. Then with a symbol there for Freemason. Then the second one is United Grand Lodge of England. So when I look at this letter, it starts to say private to not mentioned 5th August. That's when it was written, 2026. Dear sirs and brothers. So it says Ritual Fellowship, Lusaka, Zambia. The brotherhood is hereby informed that a ritual fellowship has been scheduled as follows. Date Wednesday, 12th August 2026. Venue Avani Victoria Falls Resort. Resort Livingstone, Zambia. Time 10 hours. There was a grand lodge in Messina where we could see people entering, not entering, we just see people gathered inside. But the time when they enter, you don't see them. And the time when they come out, you don't see them. So it is something that is attached to Freemasonry. So in this fellowship, according to the letter says, the fellowship will provide an opportunity for members to gather in unity, reflection, fellowship, and rooting for peace, wisdom, and well-being of our nation during the current electoral period. Most importantly, we shall also offer our best wishes to all members of the Brotherhood who are participating in various national endeavors during this season. So you look at this letter, it reminds me when Barack Obama won the elections, the Freemason conducted a football match in celebrating Obama's leadership. Does it mean Obama is part of the Freemasonry? Definitely, he is. And because I wrote about Obama before he became president, that it is the same system that is meant to enslave us. Freemasonry is something that comes with a face of being a charity organization, but it's an organized agenda to enslave Africa. So it goes to say, the letter goes to say, members are encouraged to attend in accordance with the customs and the protocols of the Brotherhood. Kindly ensure punctuality and maintain the dignity and the decorum, and confidentiality expected through the proceeding. For further information regarding attendance and logistics arrangement, members may contact their respective lodge leadership. So, which means this is not a free gathering for all. It's only those that are connected to their lodges. So now, I want to appeal to everyone who is listening that regardless of whatever I may speak now, someone may not understand. Someone might even think I'm taking sides. I spoke these things in advance before UPND came into power in 2001. I wrote in this book, The Airport Trap. It's me here on the airport, Chiluba there, and Michael Sat. Don't know how you can, yeah. There's Michael Sat behind Chiluba there. That is me greeting Chiluba. So these messages were given to me by God himself through a vision and dreams. And I stand to appeal to say, if Nevers Mumba, our former vice president during Mwanawasa, and the current MMD, he was the former MMD president. I don't know his now current party that he has formed in alliance with UPND. And UPND has been a Freemasonry party from its inception. And the late Anderson Mazoka confessed it, describing it as white-collar Satanism. And according to what I wrote, it is something that I want to read, because I never thought certain things that one would write, they may come to pass as easy as it is. But now I have that belief and understanding that there's God in heaven who speaks through visions and dreams. Despite that, here in South Africa, they want to insert Section 22 committee, recommending that anyone who says that God is speaking to me, he must be taken to this copies. That is a mental hospital. And just because of that, it is now clear that Freemasonry has encroached in all organization and department of government. And I was shown that Zambia will be the first one to actually openly practice Satanism. And in which way? I've talked about Christian Nation Declaration as satanic. Because when you read Revelation chapter 13, verse 11, where it says, a beast that had two horns like a lamb, it spoke like a dragon. A beast, when you go to Revelation chapter 17, it will tell you that it's a political authority, a kingdom. And when you talk about the lamb, it is common knowledge that Jesus Christ is the true lamb that was sacrificed for our sins. And when you talk about the two horns, you are talking of the horns that are explained in Revelation chapter 17. Horns is authority. So the horns of a lamb is Christian authority. So if politics and religion, they marry together, they now create what is called speaking like a dragon. So if we Nevers Mumba, as a man of God, who I gave the first drafted manuscript of the 12 volumes, open letter to HAKAINDE Chilema, to give him, and I gave him these copies, the Rescue Operation, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3, in their hard copies. After some time, he gave me back, as he requested for soft copies. I gave him the soft copies. So when I'm reading here, I'm requesting you, Nevers Mumba, to go on your phone or laptop and follow the wordings in this book. I've not changed anything, and I'll never change anything. When we are calling for Christian Nation Declaration as something that is okay with you, as a man of God who understands Scripture, you must not side with speaking like a dragon. Because when you speak like a dragon, it's speaking like Satan. And when now we are speaking in support of Freemason government, of UPND, it makes me to understand that you have gone wrong. Not because You are supporting UPND because it has done something tangible. I will show you that UPND has done nothing tangible, because I want to say, according to God's revelation, I actually said UPND claims that they'll fix the economy. They'll never fix the economy, because I knew whose government is UPND. I knew whose government is UPND. In this volume that I wrote to HAKAINDE Chilema, I told him to say, as they say, Bali will fix it. Bali will not fix it, because the Vatican is in alliance with Bali. I'll come to you in a matter that I would need you to understand your own support. Let me listen to your video where you are talking about fixing the engine. You are talking something that I actually wrote in this very book, that now UPND is a fixed engine. Why are you stealing the very vision that I saw? And when you are stealing the very vision that I saw, you want to claim as a tool to support HAKAINDE Chilema, for people to believe that HAKAINDE Chilema has fixed the economy, when HAKAINDE Chilema has not fixed anything, but he has fixed people. There are people who are jailed for nothing really, but a return of what we denied during UNIPI, where they said, why do we need to declare every property? Why do we need to have every receipt for every property? Others, they have just been arrested because they are working the government and they have 10 minibuses. Others are just arrested because their income could not account for whatever they have, and their businesses, their private businesses, are not considered. Whatever explanation is given, it's arrest. Others are arrested now in political gatherings where UPND is in the forefront of causing chaos, but the opposition, who are not even armed, they are the ones accused of such violence. Whilst it is UPND and you Nevers Mumba, you say they force our boys. Who can be forced? Who can be forced? So it's UPND who is forced to do violence, or it's UPND using even the police to fight the Mundubiles? I want everyone to listen to your support of UPND, which I want to rebuke it in Jesus' name, that you are a fallen hero. A man of God must not take sides with the evil. A man of God must not take sides with Freemason rule. A man of God must not take sides with poverty, trying to justify poverty and try to condemn everything on the PF, because you as MMD, you are not condemning what you did. Why can't you condemn? The economy was not well with Edgar Lungu. Edgar Lungu built flyover bridges. Edgar Lungu gave people food. Edgar Lungu did everything that was affordable. Free education. What is free education if people cannot put food on the table? What is free education? Let's be genuine. I'm not here to either campaign for Ndubile, but I'm here to expose you, Nevers Mumba, to tell you to say, you are a man of God. At this particular moment, with the information that I gave you to HAKAINDE Chilema, you are supposed to use it positively to the benefit of God's ministry. I'm not saying you should not be a politician. Why can't you stand on your political party and promise the Zambians what you want to do? If you could do that, I have no problem with that. Because when you are supporting a Freemason government, that I told you to say, in fact, when I was seated with you, I never knew that you were a partner with HAKAINDE Chilema. because it was the time when I escaped from this copies. I was not informed of anything that was happening in Zambia, but I came with a message to redeem Zambia from a Freemason leadership. So let me hear from your video.
Strengthen our economy. He has gone back to agriculture to ensure that we raise the fortunes in the agricultural sector. He goes to tourism and continues to raise those issues. Now, what do we have? We have an economy that has started to respond. So the engine is being repaired. But we are now test driving this vehicle. And the next 5 years, this vehicle now is going to move to the destination that we all want. So the point I'm trying to make is that do not start this discussion at the point of high cost of living. High cost of living has been created by what has happened in the past. Now things are changing. Milimi was going to 400, 500 kwacha. It is coming down now to 200 kwacha. And HH said it was going to happen that way. Energy sector was in a mess when this administration took over. It was a mess because at the end of the day, the load shedding was taking 22 hours, 23 hours, and people in the opposition said this is going to bring down HH because he's not going to fix this. Well, here we are today. The election is 3 days from today. The issue of load shedding is gone. These are things that Gravasio, the Bible only gives us one way of judging or assessing a leader. It says, you shall not know them by their speeches, not by their suits, not by their tribe, but you shall know them by their fruit. The fruit of HH has been consistent, methodical. He thinks through. He plans on how we're going to get this country out of this trouble. And I like to work with people that can think ahead, because that's the way I am. We raised the church ministry in Kitwe many years ago. You were there. You and Kitwe with me. We started from nothing, from nowhere, and it became an international organization. But that did not happen by accident. It is methodical planning, being consistent, and that's what he has done to give us this. So I can assure you that the prices will continue to go down, because now the economy has been structured. Now that the functioning of the economy has started, we are going to see millimil coming down. We're going to see commodities coming down. We're going to see job creations. We are going to see that productivity is going to grow in this country. So for me, I have no doubt that the path that President HAKAINDE has taken is going to raise this country to levels that are going to make us one of the proudest nations in the region and on the continent. To us,
in this volume 4, Value Fix It, let me read where Nevas Mumba is quoting what I said by referring to the engine is fixed. I wrote on submission 5 on this page 45. I said, open letter to President HH. His Excellency the President of Zambia, Hakainde Hichilema, I'm not here to challenge your sincerity to fix the economy, but to review to you that the road to achieve this noble commitment of fixing the economy is not possible through partnership with the Pope, EU, World Bank, IMF loans. This is because behind the closed doors of this partnership, there is a secret agenda to use free grants, soft loans, agriculture organization to blindfold us that there is goodwill in their partnership. I wrote this before the grants in Zambia were given to the old, to the aged, and to the children. And before the CDF, before it was actually at this stage where they're implementing it. But the fact that I mentioned this in 2001 in this book, where I talked about aid, to say they'll use free aid, free organs. Perhaps you want me to read to prove that I'm not just claiming page 32 of the first volume, I talked about the donor aid being used. Can I go really? I think on this book, the letters are small. I may need the glasses. Yes. Immediately when I put the glasses, I'm able to see what I really needed. In this book, I said in this prophecy regarding the UPND, I said, in the first 8 unaudited copies of this book, one to President Chiluba, one to former President Kaunda, the rest of the copies I gave some to the opposition party leaders, namely UPND President Mazoka, UPND Chairman Mutonga, Heritage Party President General Mianda, the FDD President General Christian Tembo. The other 2 copies were sold to the public. In these 8 unedited copies, I outlined the understanding of the vision as follows. Groceries represent free food from donor countries based on Amos 4 verse 8. The passage of this time is helping us to understand the vision. Yes, I will maintain that groceries in this vision stand for free food. This free food or aid obtained at the expense of our national sovereignty by the MMD government, and it is heard that Patriotic Front leader went around in Copper Belt from house to house giving free rice. So everyone that was attached to this agreement by the donors, I was able to foresee in advance. That's why here Anderson Mazoka is addressed. The chairman for Mutonga, the chairman for UPND was addressed. And these other opposition leaders, they've been addressed. Why? Amos chapter 4 verse 8. They'll sell the people, the poverty of our people, using a pair of shoes. I want to say that regarding this prophecy, it is something that I want us to understand, that God cannot lie, and God will never lie, because according to God, let me go back to my earlier quote, where submission number 5 on the Value Fix It, volume 4, upon stating that donor funds, donor aid is going to blindfold us, I continued, as I confirmed in the first volume, that I warned about free food. I warned about free donor aid. I warned the first leaders of UPND. And that warning was extended also to Hakainde Chilema through other letters that I can quote continuously to prove that Hakainde Chilema has been warned and that he has ignored the warning. Let me continue reading. I said, my president, here's what God is saying. Create your own means to better the economy of Zambia and listen to Julius Malema's core economic freedom. See economic freedom core and abolish borders in Africa and change education system to create skills-based curriculum based on manufacturing finished product on minerals, agriculture, poultry, etc. to create a strong economy that can create equal partnership with everyone in the world with equal exchange rate on kwacha to US dollar as it was during Dr. Kenneth Kaunda's time. I still stand today to say, if Hakainde Chilema rigs the elections, of course not winning, but rigs the elections, and he calls for ownership of natural resources, I'm willing to return to Zambia, as long as also my freedom of worship is granted. I'm returning to Zambia immediately when he declares that Zambia will own natural resources. If Munduvile, declares that Zambia wants natural resources and removes also the Christian Nation Declaration because it's a force front of persecution. I'm returning to Zambia. Immediately that declaration is made because that's a line, that's the agenda that God is calling upon every leader that wants to rule Africa, that wants to rule in Zambia. If we agree on ownership of natural resources by government, then investors must be the citizens. Then that will be the economy that will enable Africa to float above control. That will enable Africa not to ask for donor aid. That will enable African men to be able to look after their homes and to provide enough food for their wives. Because wives are out there looking for food and they are forced to do prostitution because of hunger in their homes. And when the government still continues to lie and people like Nevas Mumba continues to open their mouth wider in lying to people, politics must not be used for credible men like Nevas Mumba to continue lying for people. Here is what Nevas Mumba said, that which I want to proclaim to say it's a photocopy of what I said, using my words in order to convince the people for a Freemasonry government. That's what I cannot take. Listen to this. I said in the night vision, 13th July 2022, I was directed to ask if you, President HAKAINDE Chilema, if you can fix one engine from 7 different types of engine makes or make and the models by picking parts at random from broken cars, vehicles, motorbikes, and water boats. Here is the list of broken engines. So I continue to explain this revelation. I said 1964, President Kaunda bought a Land Rover 110 and its engine got knocked in 1991. I went further. 1991, second Republican President Dr. Chiluba bought a Fiat 127, fast running than Land Rover, and its engine got knocked in 2001. And I went further, talked about 2001. Left Patrick Manawasa tried to replace the Fiat 127 with a Ford Bronco at a high price with good economical development as Kwacha appreciated. Because of the high engine performance, its engine got knocked in 1999. I went further to explain that 2008, the fourth president, Lupia Banda, tried to repair the Ford Bronco, and unfortunately, its engine got knocked in 2011. And I went further said 2011, the fifth president, Michael Sata, abandoned the use of cars and bought a Honda 450 horsepower speedboat. He strongly ignored the warning lights. Gospel Revelation Ministry, 90 Days National Prayer. On 19th January 2012, the boat was shot. He never recovered and its engine got knocked in 2024, in 2014. And the other engine parts were stolen and the remainder parts were thrown in the same big room at State House. So now I went further to say 2014, the sixth president, Edgar Changwalungu, replaced the boat with another new BMW 700 horsepower speedboat with a violent high engine performance of religious declaration of 18th October National Prayer Day and building of National Cathedral without the Ten Commandments as the test of faith, but its engine got knocked in 2021, and the other engine parts were stolen and the remainder of engine parts were thrown in the same big room at State House. I went further to say 2021, you, the seventh president, Hakainde Chilema, Bali will fix it. You bought a calculator to fix the economy and you did not buy a new car, yet as you truly believe to fix the old cars and boats for you to get rid of poverty. So now, when Nevas Mumba is talking about that the engine is fixed, which engine is it fixed? Which engine was fixed? Because this is the vision that I actually said, instructing Hakainde Chilema to fix all the engines from Dr. Kenneth Kaunda to his time today. Because I know that the day Dr. Kenneth Kaunda was defeated in office, the economy was in the wrong hands. The economy was donor funded. Even when you looked at how Manawasa took the economy, he just dribbled our funders because he had a right focus, hence his death. Look at Sata. He had the right path, hence he was shot at. And I'd warned him in 2008 to say, don't go for president because I saw you with a wound on the chest, a wound on the shoulder, and a wound on the head. Why that warning? Because he wanted to repair all these engines, but he was rejecting to be anointed. He was rejecting to have God giving him the protection. Christian nation is not a protection. A president himself must have a direct access to God's agenda, a true worship of keeping God's commandment, not by church doctrine, by personal relationship with God. A president that will have an import for protection. When you declare ownership of natural resources, you don't need all these anointment from all these Sunday pastors, SDA pastors, or whatsoever pastors. You need from the right source. When Elijah declared the 3.5 years, it was only Elijah who could reverse it. Whatever all these prophets that are prophesying and pastors that are coming to say election, who is going to win, who is going to do this, who is going to do this, I want to warn you, either Munduvile and Hakainde Chilema, to say you are hiring prophets like Bushiri. I saw Bushiri says the anointed winner is Hakainde Chilema. Falsehood. In these elections, the only person who is going to win the election in these elections is anyone among the two. But if whether it's rigging, because when Jacob rigged the blessings, because he rigged them for a better purpose, God approved the rigging. And when he met God on his way, seeing angels going up, coming down, he promised God that I'll build your church here. He had an agenda with God. This message goes to Nevas Mumba and to Hakainde Chilema. If your partnership is planning to rig the election, because according to my understanding and visions and dreams, you cannot win the elections, Hakainde Chilema. Never. Because your leadership is terror everywhere. Your leadership is violent. Your leadership is under the Vatican control. And Vatican control, historically, it is not a church. I'll talk about this in my part 2. But listen to this. When you say that, when Nevas Mumba says the engine is fixed, I'm saying that the engine is not fixed. I'm telling you that the engine is not fixed. The engine will be fixed in the day you are going to recognize God's ministry. In the day you are going to call me and ask me to say, what is it that God wants me to do? Remember, Hakainde Chilemba, I told you that you are not going to bury Ed Kalungu. And you went further to go to the court. I maintained that I even actually offered myself to be one of the respondents. It's only Makebi Zulu and his Luvindas that did not want to accommodate me. But I want to say, if Makebi Zulu and the Munduvile do not want to accommodate me, I don't care. But I'll tell them to say, even if right now there's a campaign, every voter must go with his own pen, I salute them. There's a campaign that we must wait until all the votes are counted. I salute that. Even if you win the election by being vigor to monitor the counting, of course the numbers are with you. But if you deny the anointment of God, Zambia will cry more than the UPND. Because if you are receiving support from Vatican, receiving support from America, you are also invited to this lodge where they'll be doing rituals on the 13th because you are part of them in secret. The leadership that I'll need to anoint is a leadership that will declare a non-alliance with the Vatican, non-alliance with World Bank, IMF. That means we are leading Zambia to freedom. I had a dream this day. This actually before noon. I just felt I need to rest, and when I rested, I found myself playing football in Zambia, and the players, these presidential aspirants, when I give them, I kick my ball for them to score. They were failing to score. They could kick it back to me. I try with all means to kick it back to the center, to kick it back to the goalpost for them to finish. They are not scoring. They kick back the ball to me. I was so ashamed and very much disappointed. People who are supposed to stand for truth, let's not stand on political platforms to mislead people, to give false hope. Munduvile, I've listened to your promises. I've listened for the empowerment which I would need to actually do it on my part 2 of this recording. But my appeal to Nevers Mumba is that don't use my writings to support a wrong system. Use my writings lawfully and for the purpose of helping Hakainde Chilema to seek God, not to empower Freemasonry. May God bless you.